Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. Episode 45, Sports and Leisure with Heflings and Heisier. Have another great episode today. We have part-time host Neal Bunt joining us again. Yes, I said part-time host. He has graduated from guest to part-time host, whether he likes it or not, or even knows it. He knows it now, so that's all that matters. And joining Neal and I is a longtime friend. He went to school with us. He was in my brother's grade. Isaiah Peterson, he's going to come in with a lot of... Now, he watches a lot more basketball and golf than I think Neal and I do, so it's good to get that other side, that other perspective. And he's also in Neal and I's fantasy league, one that we've been playing for on 10 years, and it's my most serious one. We get into that a little bit too. So we also talk about the recent boycotts with the NBA and the Major League Baseball and kind of what's going around there. We also, like I mentioned, talk some golf about the upcoming majors, and then we get into fantasy football and all that good thing. So once again, glad you guys are joining us. Let's go on and get into the boycott. All NBA games have boycotted. And some baseball games. I think the Brewers and they postponed their game. They're boycotting. All about the shooting. What's your guys' opinion on that? I don't really. Yeah, we'll just go ahead because this just happened like in the last couple hours. So I mean, it's all still pretty new.
Yeah, I think it probably speaks a lot more volumes than just kneeling through the national anthem. So they're definitely getting their point across.
Yeah.
Like my own selfish opinion is that I really was looking forward to watching basketball tonight.
Yeah.
But
wow, that is.
I understand. I understand why they're doing it. The NBA. I'm not a huge fan of the NBA, but the playoffs have been awesome so far. This has been really, really exciting to watch. And so I was planning on it tonight, but yeah, I don't blame him. The guy got shot in the back right in front of his kids.
Yeah.
He had no weapon on him at all. So it's like if you're a cop right now and you're white, aren't you like in your head? Aren't you like, yeah, I can't do that.
Just,
like I can't.
Yeah, I'll be a little
self-aware. Do
self-aware.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it anytime, but now of all times, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I mean, he not justifying it at all, but like I did see, gosh, however you pronounce the town's name in Wisconsin.
Kenosha.
Yeah. They did like their DOJ just like released their first public statement of the incident, and like he did like he told the officers that he had a knife in his car, and then when he went and opened the door and reached, that he was like attempting to grab the knife, or the officers assumed that he was attempting to grab the knife. So like,
Yeah.
again,
And I did hear that he did have a warrant out for something too. But
oh yeah, I mean,
this is just me, what I've read on the internet. You can never tell if that's always going to be true 100% of the time. So it is. But anyway, regardless if you're justified or not, I mean, to be a little self-aware about, as a white police officer shooting a black guy, you should be like, is it really worth it? Because right or wrong, he's going to get a lot of backlash. And then there's always going to be the thought on somebody's back of the head that this might be racist, and that's going to plague him the rest of his life. So,
I mean,
be a
at the
little
end of the
self-aware.
day, like, there's just that situation just could have been handled in a much better way.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to how it affects the sports world and things. Like, I mean, I'm happy that I've had 4 hours to kind of cool off, because I love the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs are my favorite playoff of any professional sport. Second, probably only.
Really?
Second, probably only to March Madness.
NBA playoff games are intense. Like,
they really are. They're
one of the sports where home court advantage plays a bigger part, I feel, than in other sports. Like, I feel home court in NBA is much more impactful than in the NFL or
For sure. For sure.
or maybe baseball probably too. And hockey, I'd probably say it's the most impactful sport with home court advantage is basketball.
Because you're so like the fans are so
Right
close
there,
to the
yeah.
action. I mean, they are literally. I mean, if they wanted to, they could stick their foot out and trip a player running down the sideline.
Exactly.
I mean,
And they're right up on
Have
you,
you guys-
and they're all in domes too, or buildings. So I feel it's probably the most.
Have you guys ever seen a statement or a protest or whatever you want to call it that has been this impactful out of a sports team? I mean, I know leagues in general, like the MLB holdout has happened, and like individual players will hold out, but that's typically for like contract negotiations or collective bargaining agreements. But I don't think I've ever seen any sort of statement been made by like multiple teams collectively in a sport protesting for anything like this, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not in my short life that I can recall.
I mean, yeah, there's probably some guy out there who's 60 years old who's like, well, back in
the
1947.
Olympics maybe during World War II might be the closest thing, but
You know, because I mean, and like where my thought process goes throughout this, like if I can try and put aside like my biases just as a fan who wants to enjoy playoff basketball,
yeah,
is like, you know, it's one thing to to protest, to draw attention to something, but like where I'm just confused is like, what are we drawing attention towards that isn't already part of the national, that hasn't already been part of the national conversation for the last 4 months?
yeah,
Right, like what Cap did when he started the whole kneeling thing, like drew attention to something. Whether you agreed with it or not is irrelevant. It drew attention to something that wasn't having attention paid to it. Like now you've got the Bucks. I understand almost to some extent, like the Bucks doing it, like it's right there in Wisconsin, but like what it's going to create a huge continuing of the conversation for the next few days, and then let's just say they don't play any more basketball. Well, the NBA and those players lose the platform that they have to even start these conversations, because like let's be honest, like Giannis is a phenomenal basketball player, but if Giannis isn't playing basketball, no one knows his name.
yeah,
Like
Right.
like basketball is the foundation of their platform, and like if your name's not LeBron James, outside of basketball, you're not really anybody.
Yeah, a lot of the big stars in basketball kind of just keep to basketball. Like LeBron's kind of one of the more outspoken athletes, and I heard, I think I was watching ESPN earlier. They were talking about a couple of the players who were trying to use this opportunity to encourage the black community to go out and vote. So like, to your point, where you're saying, what are we having the conversation about that hasn't already been said? That's one thing, is trying to get people to vote. But I'm kind of with you in like, I mean, how redundant can you really get? And the thing is, it's a difficult answer because there is no answer to solving this problem. Like,
And certainly no quick answer. Like,
no, like you can't just go make a law. Like, what do? You can't kill people unlawfully. Well, guess what? That's already the law. You I don't know what the right answer is, and it's not probably going to dissolve itself within our lifetimes, unfortunately.
well, and it's just like, I mean, our legal system, with all of its pitfalls, one of them is that it's slow. But I would much rather have a legal system that is, slow to cast judgment than overly quick to cast judgment, right? Like,
long and thoughtful and drawn out, and yeah,
you know, and we're in a pandemic. Like, everything is running slow right now, you know. Like, I mean, the Bucks statement that they came out at the here this afternoon said that they were on the phone with like the Attorney General of Wisconsin, trying to get whatever law system that's been shut down since the pandemic started back up and running, so they can begin investigating and prosecuting this case. You know, like, that's fine, but like, our legal system works really slowly, but I mean, it does a decent job at least.
I'll be honest, like, the best answer that I can think of to at least lay some sort of groundwork to solving the whole racism issue, and this isn't going to solve it. Like, I'm not going to claim that this is going to solve it, but you two and I all grew up in Northwest Iowa in a small town, right? Mm-hmm. We have that sort of bias inherent in our nature, and that is not something you're born with. It's something you learn. And a lot of times, and I can't speak for you guys, but I've had situations in my past where older people, be it, you know, somewhere around town or, you know, at the golf course, will be talking about black people in nature where in a negative way.
Oh, yeah.
So when you hear that, even though you're young, that makes an impact on you, right? So it creates some sort of bias. And so, like, when I've been thinking about this whole situation in my head, I've kind of been thinking, you know, when I have kids, I know that everything that I say is going to rub off on them, whether they listen to it or if they just hear it as background noise. So I think the conversation needs to shift from, you know, having those judgmental type conversations to just not acknowledging, you know,
the difference,
race at all, and just people being people. And if that shuts down, then I think you get rid of a lot of that I don't know what you call it, just I don't know, just bias in general.
Have you guys ever talked to like a relative that you haven't talked to in a while, like not since you've been like an adult or something like that, and you talk to them for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like, it hits you like, holy crap, they're really racist. Like, I'll be talking to a great uncle that lives in like such and such place, and I haven't talked to in like 5 years, and then he just says some random thing about a black person. And it's like, dude, holy crap, I have an uncle that's racist. Like, it's really bad too. Like, ever happened to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's like cringeworthy.
Yeah.
And I would
you're looking for like, Jerry David around the corner or something like that. You've been punked.
Well, yeah, like 15 years ago, I was like 12, 13 years old or whatever, you know. I just thought that's the way a lot of people were. But now that I've gotten older and grown as a person, it's like, holy shit, that's incredibly racist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's just, I mean, and you're so right. Like, if you don't ever leave Northwest Iowa, like, you're never going to know any different. You know, I mean,
yeah.
You know, Neal, you've gone from Northwest Iowa to where did you go to? Yeah, you went to Iowa, and, you know, Iowa City, and
yeah, I did.
You know, like, Iowa City's diverse. Like, I went to UNI. Like, UNI's not very diverse, but it's. I mean,
where do you live at, Isaiah?
Something. I live in Davenport right now, or the Quad Cities.
Okay. So that's still a little more cultured and a little more diverse than where we grew up. So that's, but yeah, like I said, when I moved down here to the South, it was like you meet people like that just about every day that just are that are racist, and you're just like, holy crap, like it's ridiculous, and like
there's no.
I don't know how else to explain it. Like, it's something that's very real, and like you understand that it happens, and you just don't know why, and it's hard to stop, but.
Wait, so you're saying we're short one then?
It's crazy. Like I said, it's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm. Right,
and it's even harder. It's even harder when you realize, like I said, about a third of them are your family and relatives. Like,
you said that.
And I think a lot of it too is like is just, you know, it's a sense of like, is there still things that like we as a nation need to be
It would
working
be
on.
either
Like,
6,500 or 6,550.
But when you look at like the general trend
Yeah,
of
there's a head left bearing that's missing.
racism,
We should have an extra
racist
sensor for that
acts,
though, because
racist crimes,
unless
things that are actually
we only order
quantifiable.
35 sensors.
It's just getting better and better and better and better and better.
Yeah,
Like
there's
there
in
is
this list. There's 36.
very few places
Varying
on this
temperatures.
planet for any race to live than America.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's just the reality of the situation.
I
nowhere
think
is perfect.
6550 on the
you've
head
got
side.
Yeah. Like, I don't,
Jamil Hill comparing the current
Head
U.S. to
left
Nazi
bearing is what it
Germany
is.
yeah.
on Twitter. And it's like, that's not right.
Like, I don't know if you listen to Daniel Tosh, but he's got a bit about us being diverse, because you just look at the Olympics.
All right, thanks.
Like, you'll see our Olympic gymnastic team, has a black person, a white person, an Asian person, somebody from whatever, and then you go over to China, and it's just strictly Chinese girls. You go over to, Yugoslavia, it's all it's all like the same race and the same looking kind of girl. And it's like, we are we're bound to have these problems because we're so diverse, but that's what's something good and bad. It's just some people need to get fixed, and I think, America will look a lot different, and, we may have the answers and all this, in the next generation or so. Like,
Right. I mean, that's one of the experiments that America is like, there's never been a nation or a collection of people this large and this diverse
yeah.
before in the history of human civilization, right? Like there's a possibility that we as humans just aren't meant to live in close proximity of people that are different than us, that whether that's how they look, how they think, how they act. Like we naturally congregate and choose to be in groups of people that are like us and that we enjoy being around, and like, I mean, and I'm not saying that that's right, but
Yeah.
it's just one of the experiments that America is running right now, because like, you're right,
It's just a bummer right now, because I mean, we've just like you said earlier, for purely selfish reasons. I mean, I want my sports. I mean, we've had to wait this long
Yeah.
for them. It's been so long, and now we have something else come up in 2020 that causes us not to have sports, something that we can't control, and have no idea when the end of it is going to happen.
Well,
So
Say, did he
it's
freeze
just
for
like,
you too?
he froze.
Okay.
oh, I did. Well, anyway, it's just tough to
Yeah,
it's
you're
tough to have
freezing
to deal
up,
with this again. So, can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yeah, now we
Okay,
can.
good.
I'm just gonna take your word for
Yeah,
it.
good. Well, like I said, it's just tough to have to deal with another speed bump in sports that we've already had to deal with because of the coronavirus, and now it's this, and who knows how long this could take. Hopefully, it's just a game or two, but hopefully everything gets back to normal. Well, not normal, but we get back to sports. So, Isaiah, I know you like to watch golf. I know Tiger is your favorite. I despise Tiger, but
It is.
I'm looking
Time
forward
out.
to what we have.
Why? Why?
I can't put my finger on it. I mean,
We have to have this fight right now before we start talking anymore.
no, I'm not. I'm not
Why?
gonna start a fight. It's just I'm excited about the upcoming golf events. Okay, like and
wanna
by the
know
way,
why you
which
despise
old
Tiger.
man?
Yeah, we can't continue the conversation until we know why you hate Tiger.
I just don't like him. Like I don't know how to describe it. He just when bad things happen to him, it makes me feel happier. So
He's not an unlikable guy.
No,
He
he's
kind
not
of is.
unlikable at all.
he
Why?
kind of is.
What do you mean? No,
He's
no,
very
wait.
off-putting. And
There are a lot of athletes out there who are just very unlikable people.
agreed.
Yeah, he's
Tiger is not
Yeah,
one
no.
of them.
Okay, I just don't like Tiger because he's good. Okay, and like I said, when bad things happen to him, it makes me feel better. So I don't know how else to describe. I mean, I can't tell you any different, and you can't make me feel any different. That's just the way it is.
I mean, I don't really like Justin Rose because I think he physically looks like a snake. Like that's petty enough reason to dislike someone, You know, but like
Yes,
I at
exactly.
least have a reason. Like Isaiah,
Yeah.
why don't you like Justin Rose? Like I think he looks like a snake. Okay, like that's it.
I don't like Bryson DeChambeau because he wears those stupid hats.
he's-
Like
Who's the one dude that doesn't wear a hat?
even besides
like
like
him
his
either.
other stupid antics in the golf game, I just hate him because of his
Yeah.
hats. That's it.
Yeah, and I hate listening to the announcers talk about Bryson. 'Cause
I
it's
hate
the same
listening
thing
to
over
the. I
and
hate
over
the
again.
announcers talking about Tiger. That's all we have to hear about is Tiger. So that's
But
why
what?
he's overcovered. He-
I am not like I'm just not accepting of this answer that you're giving.
I hate Tiger the reason people hate LeBron.
Yeah, but there's like
I don't like Jim Furyk because his swing is weird.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, like I said, that's just as good as a reason as mine. I'm allowed not to like someone just because I don't like them and people talk about him too much.
there you go.
and
Okay,
because he's
that's
good.
fine. Like if
Like,
if you just want to say people talk about him too much, like that's reason enough. But prior to that,
there
you
you go.
just said I just don't like him, and that's
I
why.
mean, I think when
And
bad
that's
things
not-
happen to him makes me feel good is a good reason too.
Yeah, we are dumb sports fans.
Yeah.
Like because people talk about him too much is a perfectly logical
Yeah,
reason for
that's
you to
fair
not
enough.
like somebody, and I accept
that as well.
He's the Derek Jeter of golf.
You're wrong, but I accept it.
Okay. So anyway, that golf has been playing well. What was that last major?
Last major was
Was it the PGA? Was it PGA? Yeah, yeah. That was a great event. I don't know if you guys watched that. Did you guys watch that?
I did.
Was that the Morikawa
Yeah.
shot?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh man, ice in his veins.
That was one of the greatest golf shots in history. That's up there with Tiger's Masters chip in on 16.
Mm.
Except
It was-
I mean, it honestly like with
one of the most iconic fist pumps ever.
and not having fans there. Like I mean, not having fans or any gallery at all on that shot like will be part of the
Allure.
iconicness of that golf shot. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought about that. Just when we have past highlights of these events in 2020, it's going to be without crowds and like how different it's going to be and how it's always going to trigger and bring back a memory of how awful this year's been.
yeah. So yeah, heading into I believe it's the BMW Championship this week.
When's the Masters? I know all the majors are like kind of bumbled in together a lot this year. I gotta look up when that is.
I think the Masters is in October. Because right now they're fit.
the Masters is on November 12th.
Is it? Oh yeah, November.
Yep, and actually November 14th is the Saturday that the Masters is on. Also, Alabama LSU game.
Oh, nice.
Do you look forward to Alabama LSU or Alabama Auburn more?
I look forward to Alabama Auburn more, but just with the recency bias, Alabama LSU is going to be a freaking banger.
Sure. That's it.
I don't want to
agree.
get too
like
excited
Alabama
about it
Auburn.
though. Like that's what I'm a little girl that's been broken
Yeah,
up with
yeah,
too
yeah.
many times that I don't want to love again, and that's how I feel. Like and that's the same thing with
That's the
fantasy
perfect
football.
way to put it.
That's the thing with fantasy. Like I'm not been nearly excited about fantasy as I normally am. Like normally I have everything in a row. I've already bought a magazine and I've looked through it and whatnot, and I have a draft in like the next week or
Still
two. But
bought Why do you buy a magazine?
because I like to flip through and get a ranking, a physical ranking, and I can touch and have in my hand.
I don't think I've bought a magazine since like 2004.
Oh, well then.
My grandpa keeps giving me Golf Digest magazines.
And how many
he gets from
championships
his
have you guys
barber.
won?
And I was like, I'm not gonna read this.
Exactly.
Oh, shut up. Oh, you know what? Here's something we haven't talked about in our fantasy league, and this is a good point. What if we only get through like 5 weeks and then the NFL season just dead?
I put a clause in the league I'm commissioner in. I put a clause that if our league's regular season doesn't finish, all payments are void. And if we make it to the playoffs and something happens, then it reverts to whatever the standings were in the regular season.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a work league where we agreed that if we got through 8 games, then we would go by whatever the standings are at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's less than 8, and I think rather than doing, like, we won't crown a champion, we're just going to do the best team in both divisions. We have 2 divisions. So the best team in both divisions, and then second place in both divisions, and then I think 1 extra kicker for, like, whoever had the most points scored. But if we don't get to week 8 and it's canceled, then everyone just gets their money back. But we should
Definitely
develop
bring
a
that
rule
up.
for our other league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually, in the league I'm commissioned for, like, I actually have a constitution that I make everybody sign.
Please tell me it's in a
got-
scroll.
It's got like 12 articles in it.
Yeah.
Like everything from and like
I
thank
wanna-
God we have it.
Send me a
because we
copy of that. Please send me a copy of that. I might need that.
Dude, it's awesome.
But I'm
It's
going to put
awesome.
mine in a scroll just because.
Just print out one long sheet of paper, roll it up.
Are the first so many articles the Bill of Rights?
No.
Like the first
But,
3.
But like, all right, give me your guys' opinion on this. So we do a keeper, okay, 1 keeper, and you don't use ESPN's like keeper setting in order to keep it. You manually draft that player in the round that they were drafted in the year prior.
Okay.
Okay, so there's value involved, right? So like somebody like Kenyon
Austin-
Drake,
Austin Eckler.
you know, sure, who was a 7th round pick, who might be a 2nd round pick this year. Like, there's
Was he really a 7th
tremendous
round
value
pick?
there.
Please don't tell
I
me
don't know.
you know that off the top of your head.
I don't know.
Okay.
Wherever
If you
he
did, I
went.
would have been very impressed.
But like, okay, so like that's how our keeper system works. And then if you pick somebody up off waivers, it defaults to the 10th round pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd
So-
much prefer that, but
So
That's just
so
me.
what happened is like, so in this league, so Miles Sanders is the player who's in contention, and the guy who has Miles Sanders, picked him up off waivers, but Miles Sanders was drafted in the 7th round. Okay, and then the original owner, I think, traded him, and then whoever he traded him to dropped him, and then he went to waivers, and this guy picked him up. He wants to keep Miles Sanders. Should he be kept in the 7th round or the 10th round?
10th round. Got him off
yeah,
waivers.
10th round.
Really?
I mean, is Miles Sanders really worth another 7th round pick? It's just like, who's going to draft him in the 7th round?
Well, you
If
don't
I was
have to
him,
keep him.
I'd just keep somebody else and then pick him off waivers again.
Well, but
I
because
feel like if you get him off waivers, you should be awarded for the value that you saw in the waiver wire to pick him up. So, like, what if a guy drafted a quarterback in, say, the 5th round, they got hurt, so they dropped him, and then another guy went and picked him up? Like, that's the nature of keepers. You have to play that as part of your strategy.
sure. Now I will say, like, and I think this is important. We did not have an IR spot in our league
Ooh.
last year. So like, if you had a guy get hurt, tears ACL week 4, like there was
Yeah.
no point
How-
in keeping him on your roster.
How many
at all.
bench spots, too? How many
the
bench
standard
spots?
6?
Okay. Yeah, it makes it tough.
Because like
I might flip flop my decision.
because
then.
like
I might-
in the Constitution, like, I mean, I wrote the Constitution, so I mean, I guess perhaps my interpretation is final. And this and most of the league agreed with me. Like, if we were to vote on it, it would have gone the way I intended it. But the way the Constitution says is like, basically, if you draft a player, or if you want to keep a player, you must draft them in the round that they were drafted in. If I trade a player to Neal and Neal wants to keep a traded player, you keep them in the round that I drafted them in.
Yeah.
And then like the third one is if you pick a player up off waivers, it defaults to the 10th round. So like,
you have 2 conflicting rules there, basically. Then.
but I mean, basically the only word that was missing was if you pick an undrafted player up off waivers, right? Because you're either drafted or you're undrafted.
Yeah.
So like,
Yep.
what the rule is actually meant for is if you want to keep a player who wasn't drafted, like you have to have somewhere
Right.
to put them, so you put them in the 10th round because they don't have a draft value from the previous year. So we
Yeah,
had a
that
big
makes more
fight about it because, like I said, it was two people that were like,
Who's in this league with
What?
you?
it's my buddies from school.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't know any of them, but because like one of the guys wanted Miles Sanders to be 10th round instead of 7th round, and the other one wanted Kenyon Drake to be 10th round instead of 5th round. Like Kenyon Drake's going to be a 2nd round pick,
Yeah.
and like
Giving it the 10th would be is way too much of a difference. Yeah.
you know,
I get you on that one.
especially just with how the rule is like supposed to be interpreted. But
So, what if you got like Pat Mahomes in the 10th round of his rookie year? Because he wasn't a starter to begin with, right?
No.
so you can first off, you can only keep a player for 1 year before you can't keep them
Oh,
again.
okay.
So it keeps the player pool kind of, and it keeps something like, like a Patty Mahomes from staying a 10th round pick for 4 years, 5 years.
Dang.
Yep.
You can only keep
Well, that's
them.
probably going to happen because I have a work league, and if I take Lamar Jackson away from this girl at work, she will probably try and stab me. Like, that's all she cares about is that she gets to keep Lamar Jackson. And, like, it's ridiculous. If I try to tell her that we only get to keep players for 2 leagues, she would not take it well at all.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that I would vote on the 10th round pick for Miles Sanders, but then if you don't have an IR spot and it like pigeonholes managers into having to drop people, then yeah, it kind of makes me want to flip flop over to the 7th
Because
round.
and here's the other thing is like, let's just say this upcoming year, I have the number 1 waiver wire spot. I'm just going to drop my 1st round pick and then claim him, and I then technically got him off waivers, which would default to the 10th round pick for the next year's draft. Like unless you put caveats into the
Yeah.
which just like the way the rule reads now, there's no loopholes.
Yeah. Okay. Since we're talking about what are some guys you're excited about, well, I don't know if we want to even talk about these.
I was going to say, I thought
since
about
we all
this, I was like,
draft,
I don't really
since we
wanna
all
tell
draft
you.
with each other.
I'm excited about my rookie pick, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
For the Colts. He's gonna share time with Marlon Mack, and then I don't know how to say his name. Nyheim Hines.
Yeah.
How the hell do you say that guy's
That's
name?
good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, good enough for a town this size. But anyways, the Colts have an outstanding offensive line, and their run game has been pretty solid for the past. Well, really, they just stood out last year. Last year, their offensive line was one of the best in the league. So I'm excited to see what Jonathan Taylor does as a rookie.
Yeah, rookie running backs are they're somebody you can plug in right away, and they can be really well for you. So, yeah. Well, like I said, I got a problem. I got on who I'm going to keep is either Alvin Kamara or I got Austin Eckler. Like, it depends on how much it's going to cost me to keep Kamara. Like, if it's like $20 or something like that cheaper for me just to keep Austin Eckler because I got him later on in the draft, then I might have to do that because like Melvin Gordon's gone. He's gonna be the main guy in the Chargers, and he played really well before Melvin Gordon came back in last year after his holdout. And then once they kind of had to split carries, he kind of tapered off. So I'm thinking he's gonna be just as good this year as he was at the beginning of last year. But
Yeah, I just don't know how much.
it's hard to
I'd
part
just
ways
trust
with my boy Alvin Kamara. So
I just don't know how much I'd trust the Chargers offense in general. I mean,
Tennessee boy, right? Alvin
Yeah.
Kamara.
exactly, that's why I love him. And the best part is Eli drafted him and dropped him after like week 2 of his rookie year, and I picked him up. And then like that week 3 is when he started playing really well. So it's always good to get one on Eli.
I love that.
So you guys don't want to talk about sleepers or anything like that. What about people that you're definitely not going to draft? Like, it's going to have to be like them in like the last 1 or 2 rounds, or they're like 15, 10 rounds past their value round.
Let's
Or
see.
some
Well,
play-
I'm not.
Or
like,
players
I'm
you
not,
just aren't going to draft because you just don't like them.
I'm not a big fan of really caring about my QB slot. I firmly believe that I can find decent value in QBs. You know, like if you have like a decent starter and then you just kind of waiver wire your way through, you know, through the season, matchup dependent. So like, I would not overspend or reach for like a Mahomes or a Lamar.
Dude, I always say that I'm the same way, and that's how I think. But then when the draft happens, inevitably, I'm looking at the board and I'm like, I know who's still out there. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. But you're right. You're totally right. Where you can kind of just get some sort of formidable, like starter for who's like your rock, you know. Yeah. And then you just kind of weasel your way through the waiver wire week to week if you see a better matchup or something. But seriously, every time I do the draft, I'm like, Russell Wilson though, like he's still there, he's still available.
I mean, especially in 1 QB leagues, right? Like if you're in a 2 QB league, like you got to reach for a guy like Lamar or Patty. Yeah. You know, but it's.
Yeah, I've only done a 2 QB league once. I didn't really care for it.
It doesn't sound too fun.
Like, I did my usual strategy on that, and by the time I was ready to pick a quarterback, there was nobody. Like, everybody was gone. Mm-hmm. So I had 2 just awful people. Like, it was like not Garoppolo. It was Kirk Cousins and like Case Keenum. Like, it was awful.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to think about it. Like, you know, there's only 1 QB slot in our 12-man league, so that leaves 20 QBs that. Look, maybe you've got 4 of them on bye weeks, so that leaves 16 QBs that aren't starting and that maybe you have a shot at unless people are stashing them on their bench.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't like 2 QB leagues. So like I said, Neal, is there anybody you're not going to draft or position you try to – or a team you don't draft anybody on? Do you like drafting players on the Packers?
No, I despise drafting Packers, obviously. I'm not big on any receivers except for, like, Michael Thomas.
What about DeAndre?
That might be DeAndre. DeAndre didn't do that well last year, I don't think. But granted, I think
decently. Like,
didn't Watson was injured last year for a while, right?
No, I think he played most every game.
I think he's played.
Fuller was injured though, and whatnot. He played. I think DeAndre had a good year last year. I think he was top 5 receiving.
DeAndre's in Arizona now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I was thinking.
Well, do you think he'll do better or worse this year than last year?
I think he's got
Hopkins.
Yeah. Not even fantasy football wise, just statistically playing better. Whatever. It doesn't have to be just fantasy.
I'm gonna say worse.
I'm
gonna say worse because I think the Saints are probably more pass heavy than what the Cardinals are gonna be.
I'm gonna say DeAndre has a better year this year. I think Kyler Murray's legit. Not that like Deshaun's not.
Yeah.
But I think Kyler Murray's legit. It's going to be interesting to see what Arizona's offense looks like.
Year 2.
If Edwards takes more of a, he's, I don't know, he was so good when he filled in for DJ last year. Larry Fitz is on the decline.
Yeah,
but still good enough to come in.
Larry Fitz actually had a pretty good year.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
Compared to years past.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so I looked it up. Last year, DeAndre Hopkins, 104 receptions, 1,165 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's a good year by any stretch of the imagination. But the 2 years prior to that, he had 2018, so the year before that, 115 receptions, 1,572 for yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The year before that, he had 1,378 yards and 13 touchdowns. So
I think the issue with Hopkins was he didn't didn't live up to the first, mid first round draft value that
Right.
that he was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Few people do though, so he's still.
right. But like you just feel that way about anybody you draft in the first round. That,
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's Le'Veon Bell or.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I'm not going to draft Mahomes or Lamar number 1 overall. I always go running back. I always try to get running back first, unless like I'm in the back of the first round. So then I may get a wide receiver, or if one of those top quarterbacks are available, I may get those. But I never end up getting the good quarterback. Like I'm always searching around, pulling guys at the last minute.
I was honestly really, really interested in David Montgomery this year, but seeing as he just left with a non-contact injury, even if it turns out to be just something minor, I mean, I just hate doing that, especially if you're gonna maybe kind of reach for a guy because you really want him or you see more potential to take that risk. I don't like.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to throw in there? Add about fantasy or anything like that?
Other running backs, I'm not big on. Leonard Fournette.
Me neither. Yeah. No.
Mark Ingram. He had a pretty good year last year.
They draft his replacement, so yeah.
Yep. Todd Gurley, Atlanta now.
Yeah, that'll be about the same as last year. He may have a good game, a couple good games, but he's
Yeah.
Unless it's like late, like I'm talking about teens before I draft him.
I haven't been big on Le'Veon Bell for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I think the whole situation of him moving from Pittsburgh to the Jets really illustrated like how much value a running back is in the NFL, and it's not a lot because they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah, like I said, you get one from a rookie year, you run him ragged for 2, 3, 4 years, and then see what you can give for him on a contract. If it's too much, just let him go.
I mean, I genuinely think the Jets could be a good team. I thought the Jets could have been a good team last year. I really did. I think Darnold being out for 4 weeks with mono was just atrocious.
Yeah.
To their prospects of having a decent season last year, but I think there's enough talent on that team to be okay if they can just get an offensive line to hold together, and if Adam Gates decides to stop coaching.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's been a terrible coach hire. Like he's crazy, he's weird. So, anything else you guys want to throw in there before we move on?
Nope.
Okay.
I hate owning running backs in a running back by committee offense.
Yeah.
I know
it's the
that's
worst.
getting harder and harder to avoid.
Yeah, there's
now.
only like
It's
4 or 5 like just main dudes anymore.
Mm-hmm. But like I just hate not knowing, like you can go in 1 week and your guy's gonna touch the ball 15 times and go off for 25 points, and the next week he might have 3 touches for negative 0.3 yards.
Yeah, because the other dude got hot. Yeah.
I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that Aaron Jones was one of the top running backs fantasy-wise last year?
Yeah, I think he was top. Was he top 3 or top 5?
Top 3.
Okay, I had him.
According...
I had him in one of my. I believe it. He had like a 3 touchdown game one week.
I think he had a 4 touchdown game.
That might also be. Yeah. Aren't you a Packers fan?
No, I'm a Rams fan. But
Rams. That's right.
I'm pretty sure he had a 4 touchdown game. It was on like Monday or Sunday Night Football.
It was Sunday night.
Oh yeah, he had 16 touchdowns. He tied Derrick Henry for the most touchdowns by running back last year. That just caught me by surprise. I can't believe that.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is a guy I'm not drafting. I don't want somebody that's like that touchdown dependent. I mean,
he had the yards.
He was good.
He had the yards. I think he had like 12.
Did.
How many yards did he have, Neal? 1,200?
Well, he had 1,084 yards, and so I mean, if you look at the top 10, 9 of the top 10 guys all had more yards than him.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I mean, especially because his backup, I forget his name, but he's more their third down passing back. He's much more of a threat out of the backfield. I forget his name though.
I think it's Williams. Is that
Jay
right?
Williams?
It could be.
No, it
don't
doesn't
know.
sound right.
Okay.
I know exactly who you're talking about, but he's basically a non-factor fantasy-wise.
Yeah.
But they just don't. They'll go games where Rodgers will throw the ball 56 times.
Well, they might be moving away from that. I mean,
yeah, I suppose it'd be what LaFleur's second year.
yeah, and they're kind of pushing Rodgers out. So if they just say, "Screw it, we're not even going to let you throw and have fun. We're just going to run the ball." I mean,
I love that video that was going around on Twitter where it showed that guy was a UCLA guy that they drafted. No.
yeah,
Where's he from?
Jordan Love or something like that. Utah State.
Yeah. Jordan Love, Utah State. Okay. Yeah, there was a video on Twitter of him, Rodgers, and then whoever their backup is doing a 3-step drop, and then like basically checking their primary route and then going to the secondary. And Jordan Love's footwork was just all over the place, and the other two quarterbacks, Rodgers and the backup,
Just
their
in
footwork
sync.
was like perfectly in sync and exactly how it was supposed to be. As a Vikings fan, it just gives me so much joy to see their first round draft pick. Just not knowing what's going on at all at camp.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move on, mostly because I gotta pee really bad. But do you guys remember? I was trying to think. Your most memorable school field trip. I was trying to think, and these might not be as good since we all went to the same school, so we probably all had the same like 3 or 4 field trips. But I was trying to see if you guys remembered some that we usually did. My favorite one was when we went to the rendezvous. When we went to the medieval fair. We'd go to that.
Yes.
That was just one of the things I remember doing. We would do like every year.
That was the one I was gonna say too.
I actually, so one of my classmates and I got lost at the rendezvous. We were like back on the trail, like the walking trails.
Yeah.
And we ditched the group, went up over a ravine, and we're just like kind of wandering through the timber, and then I don't know how long it was, but we eventually ran into a group of students and teachers that were looking for us rather adamantly, and they had shut down like the whole rendezvous shooting range because they didn't know where we were, and they thought maybe we had like gone back beyond the targets. And so like they were having like the flintlock rifle competitions going on, but
Yep.
like they shut them all down until they found these 2 stupid kids who wandered away from the group. That was me and McDaniel.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I remember those. What else was that? We always went to a play too. I remember in like Orange City. I don't remember. I can't tell you what the plays were, but I just remember going to a play.
I remember that.
And then going
They're
to
usually biblical.
going to the wooden park there in the Mars.
Yep. I'm gonna say Mrs. Brown's camping trip.
I didn't go to
like
that.
that.
I didn't have. I
like
wasn't
that
with Mrs. Brown, so I didn't. But I heard all about it though. I think didn't Matt fall into the water?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, he did. How the hell do you remember that? I was on the trip and I don't even remember that.
I just remember being told, like, and I remember, like, of course.
The one thing I do remember is that her husband made an upside down, a pineapple turnover cake.
No,
more like a-
pineapple upside down cake.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is. Pineapple upside down cake.
Did he make-
in a cast iron pan over the fire? That thing was outstanding.
I'm sure he's probably done that 100,000 times.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite field trip was when, I don't even remember what grade it was, but we went the class went out to like a dairy farm or something like that, but I didn't get
Oh,
to go because I was naughty.
The Wilcox's farm.
Sure.
I remember we did that.
I didn't get to go. I had to stay home because I was naughty the day before. So like rather than just like keep me like literally rather than keep me in school like with somebody else or in the principal's office, they just didn't let me come to school that day.
They didn't want you wandering off again, and they have to stop everything and look for you. I mean, can you blame them? Jeez. Yeah, I do remember that, sticking my finger in the udder suckers. So, yeah, that was just good. I remember my wife, she grew up in California, so I was just kind of curious what kind of field trip she had. And, like, they just said they went to museums in the area. I'm like, we didn't have any good museum. I think there was that one in Sioux City, but I don't even know if you can even classify that as a good museum. So, like, she didn't go to a medieval tour or, definitely didn't go to a dairy farm.
There's national parks like every which way.
Oh
you
yeah,
look
I'm sure her
California.
field trips were
There's
so much better.
museums.
I mean, my senior year, I suppose you can classify it as a field trip. It was through the school. Our anatomy class went to like the bodies exhibit, which is like basically just cadavers that have been dissected and preserved in different ways. But it travels, and it just so happened to be in Vegas. So there was a group of 8 or 10 17 and 18-year-olds that went to Vegas for 4 days.
Jeez.
That was something.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to do the same trip, but guess where mine was?
Florida.
Omaha.
Oh God.
No, big buzzkill.
Yeah. That would.
That
that'd be something that happened to me. So you wait your whole life for a trip like that, and it's 2 hours away.
Dude, I think it wasn't even the actual Bodies brand exhibit. I think it was like this knockoff.
They were just plastic.
We really got shafted.
Yeah. The snockers of field trips. Yeah.
One cool one that we did was for physics class. We went up to the Mall of America.
Oh yeah.
That was a good time.
We had to basically just like develop a problem that you would ask on some physics exam.
Using stuff from
one example would be using stuff from the amusement park. So like one example would be, that tower that like brings you up really slowly and then just drops you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, estimate the number of vertical feet it goes up, and then calculate how many seconds it would take for you to hit the ground if you were to drop from the
or
floor.
how high you have to drop to get the fastest speed. I don't know anything about physics, but
Yeah,
There you go.
something like that.
so that's cool. Yeah, Mall of America was always a good time. It's a fun place to be. That was one thing about growing in the Midwest that was cool to be able to go and do that. Was that, and obviously the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore. So, okay, well, I think that's about it for today. Actually, do you guys eat ramen noodles
No.
or instant noodles?
I used to, but no, I don't.
Of course, you guys. I'm sorry, I didn't know you guys were the Monopoly men over there. And I was just curious on how you guys made them. I mean, I haven't had them in a while, but it's something that always.
Well, how do you make them?
I get some
Eat the block, pour boiling water in your mouth.
Yeah, no. You drink the boiling water, you snort the flavor packet, and then you eat the noodles raw. That's the extreme way to eat it. No, I break it all up, water over top of it, and then I drain the water after I put it in the microwave. And then I only put like half the pack of flavor in there because that's too much salt for me now, and then just a bunch of pepper.
Mm. What I used to do is I put it in without breaking it, so the noodles stayed intact. So then when you got your fork in there, you could like spin it and just get a big old wad of noodles.
Just eat it in 2 bites.
You get bigger bites that way.
We'll see.
But I eat like a caveman. So
I usually try to eat fast too, but I just didn't even think about. It's too hot. Whenever I eat it, it's always too hot, and then there's always that one noodle that comes and like wraps around your chin, and burns all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
I had a roommate in college who made like gourmet ramen noodles. He would crack an egg in there while they're boiling, and
that's a little too.
Get like actual sprigs of parsley and throw it in there. And I don't know what the hell y'all did.
I mean, I could honestly count on one hand how many times I've eaten ramen noodles in my life.
Yeah, I've probably had them. Honestly, the most ramen noodles that I've eaten have been at Brock's grandma's
Yeah, I was
house.
just about to think that.
ramen noodles and weenie
I think
sandwiches.
she put them on she made it on the stove though, like old school. Like I don't even think she used a microwave.
That's how you make them.
No, I use the microwave.
No, it tastes way better in the stove.
Yeah, it's way quicker in the microwave.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Just
so
saying.
it's frozen pizza, but that ain't
No, but that's completely different. that
Quality
is
over
completely
quantity.
different. If you put a frozen pizza in the microwave, you're a monster. You need to be in an asylum. So, well, I think that's gonna cut it then for this week. I want to thank Isaiah for coming on, Neal coming on again.
Get out!
You watching Twins?
Ah! Nelson Cruz almost just jacked a home run to take the lead, top of the eighth.
It's a good way to cut it off then. Thanks for tuning
jumped at
in.
the wall and caught it.
Hope you guys tune in next week. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Later.
Toots.
And leisure Heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure Heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure with Heflings and leisure sports. And leisure Heflings. And leisure sports. And leisure Heflings. And leisure. This is sports and leisure with Heflings and leisure.